All right, so our first one here, just a little warm up for the quiz we're going to take in class. Sam? God, blasted, now I got to send another email. Put it in your backpack. Write this problem down. If you take that out again, you're not going to have your phone in class. You're going to have to leave it with me all hour. Multiple days in a row. Stop doing that. All right, so back to this. We are going to start by multiplying by the other denominator. All right, so what is the other denominator? Well, on this side it would be a 2, and on this side it would be a 3. That way, look, the denominators are both 6. We have a common denominator. 3x over 6 and 2 over 6. When you actually add them, you get 3x plus 2 over 6. Raise your hand if you had that one right. All right, good. Then, that's adding. Subtracting's a little harder just because of distributing a negative. All right, 1 over x plus 1 minus 2 over 3. Now notice, we need a common denominator. We're going to do the same exact thing, multiply by the other denominator. Get in the game. Come on, I don't have to move you out of the classroom. There's a problem on the board, write it down. Your iPad hasn't been touched. It's enough. Came in late, had your phone out. Not the ideal student right this minute. Fix it. All right. So, Foda, tell me what is a good thing to multiply this side by? Yep, that's the other denominator. There we go. Now on the top, this will be important right here. Careful. Careful, don't mess that up. It's going to happen on the test too. They say a good teacher tells the students where they're likely to screw up. I'm warning you, that's where you're likely to screw up. On this other side's pretty easy because we're just going to multiply by 3. And I guess one thing people forget is there's implied parentheses down there. I'll put them in red here. Because you can't just pick one and multiply it by x. Or sorry, by 3. All right. So this one definitely is more intense. There's one on the quiz in just a minute or two, and you're going to have a partner that's going to be depending on you. You don't want to be the person who doesn't know what they're doing at all. Okay, so watch this close. I've got a common denominator. That's the first thing you check. Did I really get these to be exactly the same? And I did. And I say you leave it separate. Don't multiply it out. It's just a waste of time. Because at the end, I'm going to say, if you can factor it, you should. And this is already factored. So don't multiply out the bottom. You'll just be wasting your time. But what you do need to multiply out is the part I said would mess a lot of kids up. That negative 2 is going to be times by the x. And the negative 2 is going to be times by the 1 there. Okay, so 3 times 1 is 3. And then this part, the negative 2, it's going to be times by the x, is negative 2x. And then this negative 2 times the 1 makes negative 2. That right there is where usually most people mess up. If you got that far, it'd be pretty easy. You just have to put the 3 with the 2, or minus 2, and that makes 1. So negative 2x plus 1. And then on the bottom, still leave it. Otherwise, if you multiply it out, you'll just have to factor it again. Now, every now and then there's a kid that thinks you could cancel the x's that's on the top and the bottom. Nope. The bottom, the only thing you could cancel would be this, because it's been factored. But is there a 3 on top that can cancel that? No. You'd have to factor things before you can cancel them. This one, you could not cancel the x's. So there is your final answer, and there's one like that, and that's going to be hard. But the key was right there. Okay, let's do one more. Trying to get you warmed up so that this test doesn't hurt too bad. 1 over 2x times, divide divide by 3 over 4x. Do I need a common denominator? No, I don't. Because multiplies and divides don't need a common denominator. You just got to get it so it's a times problem. And then you multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, simplify it out. If you can factor it, you should. No common denominator here. All right, so very first, I'm going to change this to times. But you know that divide and times are different, so you have to do something else than just change it to times. The 4x goes on the top, the 3 goes on the bottom. I just flipped it. Now I can just multiply across the top. I get a 4x. And multiply across the bottom. And careful with that one. 3 times the 2 makes 6, but it is not 6x. What's 2x times 3x? Not 6x. 6x squared. There you go. If you didn't know that 2x times 3x is 6x squared, I can help you understand it a little bit better maybe by going, this means times, and this means times. And then if I can just rearrange this, and the 3 and the 2 can get multiplied. I can put the 3 in the front if I wanted. And that's not here anymore. That makes it a little more obvious that it's 6, and then it's an x times an x. 6x squared. All right, but I can't leave it that way because I like to reduce this some way, and other people like to reduce it another way, but I think we can agree that it comes down, 4/6 is like 2/3, right? Okay, now if you said 2/3, you're right. But we need one last thing. We need the x in there. And if this was a battle between the x's on the top and the bottom, the team on the bottom wins because they got more guys. So it's 3x on the bottom, and there's your answer, 2 over 3x. Yes, Max.
Isn't it just 2x times 3?
Okay, hold on. Okay, back here. All right. Whoa, I just oh, dang, thank you. Okay, so sorry. I saw 3x when I looked right here. Do you get why I would see 3x when I looked right there? But it's not actually 3x, you are right. I had written over my previous writing, and that is not there anymore. I had flipped it over. Let me erase the original green stuff there. And you're right, there's just a 3 down there, not a 3x. So sorry. All right, oops. That's all I can say. I'm human. And that's why 5 out of 6 isn't bad on this quiz because, you know, you're going to make a mistake like me probably. All right, so then let's redo this. 4 times 1 is 4x over 3 times 2 is 6x. And then the x's do cancel. And 4/6 is 2/3. Sorry about that. And thank you for catching me. Earlier is better. As soon as you realize, I think you're messing up, tell me. Every now and then somebody catches me and I'm actually doing it right, but I'd rather have you catch me early. Okay. So, that's about enough so that we can give you plenty of time to do the ones that we just, that we have for this quiz. But, actually we have time for one more. And either I'm going to make up one more, or you can tell me, so which kind would you like to see? Would you like to see the kind where you get a common denominator, or would you like to see the kind where you have to do factoring? Yes? Factoring. All right. So here's the kind where you have to do some factoring. X squared minus 4x minus 5 over x squared minus 25 times, it's just the times, you don't have to flip anything. Wait, I'm wrong. Sorry. I was right. There. There is a problem that hard on your test. I'm not just making a ridiculously hard problem. Because see, once you factor it, so much stuff drops out that the problem looks super easy. I know it looks crazy hard right now. But you know how to factor this? With 2 sets of parentheses? Do you remember how to factor this with 2 sets of parentheses? And this stuff's already factored, so on the right side, you're good. It's just, can you factor out all that stuff? And then will stuff cancel? All right, give it a shot. Pause for a second on the video while you do this one. So maybe if you don't know how to factor these, you should come in Thursday morning. That'll be tomorrow morning. I will help you. With my help, you will get factoring. It won't be something that has to kick your butt forever. X and X. This last number is negative, means plus and minus. And then what number is multiplied to 5? It's got to be a 5 and a 1. Ends up being the negative is on the 5. I can tell it worked because I do this quick in my head, and I get -4 when I put them together. And that's what I'm supposed to get. Cool. It's factored. This one's X and X, and then since there's a negative, that's a plus and a minus, and then since this is 25, it probably is 5 times 5. I double check it. My X squared is first, and then this and this cancel each other out, and then the last thing's a -25. It worked. And now look at all the stuff that cancels. I have an X plus 5 down here that cancels this X plus 5. I got an X minus 5 up there that cancels that X minus 5. And the things that haven't canceled yet are left. And that's my final answer, which is there's an X and an X plus 1. You could rearrange that order of that, but I think I'd put the X in front. Looks more normal. And then X plus 7 on the bottom. There you go. Who had that one right? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, good. Poppy, question. You'd have to show me a hub pass that says yes. Go ahead. All right, so your quiz that you're going to take. Hurry, because we're going to start the quiz in about 3 minutes. Your quiz that you're going to take is out of 6 points, and it's going to be problems a lot like that. In order to get you in those groups, I'm going to have these 2 rows slide next to each other, and then I'll come back by and hand you the quiz. While you're just slid next to each other, would you please take a second to remind yourself of the other person's name? Like, just say what's your name again. And then I'd love for you to discuss if you have any pets. Just break the ice a little bit. These 2 rows slide next to each other. Like you see. Talk about what kind of pets you have. The first problem that I had you do was 2x over 5 minus 1/2. That was a nice, easy one, I hope. Then you just started by multiplying by the other denominator, and that's 2 and 2, and so you end up with 4x, this was the times, over 10 minus 5 over 10. And really, they have a common denominator, so it's just 4x minus 5 over 10. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Awesome. Now you got one right. I wouldn't touch it. Don't even see, if you put a check mark, it looks like it's wrong to me. So just leave it alone if it's right. All right, on to number 2. On number 2, it was 1 over x plus 1 and 2 over 3, and you're adding them. Well, you need a common denominator, so you multiply by the other denominator. In this case, that's an x plus 1. X plus 1. And over here, it's a 3. Now, danger, you might think that's 3x plus 1 down there. You really ought to put implied parentheses in. Then you have 3 over, I would leave this factored, because if you can factor it, you should. And then on the other one here, I know those x plus 1s could cancel, but we don't want to cancel them because we want the denominator to be 3 times x plus 1. See, it's a common denominator now. But what's on the top is a 2x plus 2. Then that leads us to a final answer on that one of the 2x doesn't have anything to go with, so it's just 2x, and the 3 and the 2 makes 5. 2x plus 5, and we all knew the denominator from the beginning, and it was 3x plus 1. Now, I know a few kids multiply that out. Don't. You don't have to mark that wrong, but you should have left it factored. The only way you can cancel stuff is if it's factored. So like this 3, it could cancel with something, but there wasn't a 3 on the top to cancel with. All right, so that one's done. How many of you had that one right? Raise your hand if you did. All right, it's easy to make a mistake, and it's okay. On to number 3. Number 3 on the little quiz we just took was 1 over x plus 2 minus 3/4. Once again, we need a common denominator for add and subtract. The other denominator is an x plus 2, so I put in an x plus 2 and an x plus 2. And then over here, the common denominator, or sorry, the denominator we want is 4x plus 2. See, they both have a 4x plus 2 on the bottom. Don't multiply that out. You'd be just wasting time because I'd tell you to factor it at the end. And then on the top, we have a 4. Now right here, tons of people were right until this moment are going to get it wrong. Pay attention. Pierce, pay attention. Just look up here. All right, this becomes -3. I'm putting it on the 3, and then it distributes like this. And now I have 4 for this one, minus 3x minus 6. And a ton of people won't have a minus 6. They'll be like, but it's positive too. Now it times is by this. Okay, and then final answer, the -6 and the 4 can go together and make a 2. So -3x minus 2 over 4 times x plus 2 like this. It is legal to multiply out the bottom, but not wise. There is your final answer. That was a hard one. I expect a lot of people to get it wrong. Who had this one right? Raise your hand. Oh, nice. Better than I thought. Okay. On to number 4. On number 4, we have x squared minus 3x. And right away, you had two kinds of kids. The kids who saw that that could factor and the kids who didn't see that. It could factor. There's an x in both of them. It could factor out. Next, there was the kids who knew how to factor it, but didn't see that it would cancel. The reason you factor is because it'll probably cancel. So this right here factors to x times x minus 3. How many of you caught that? Raise your hand if you did. Okay, good. Do you get that? Just process that. X times x makes x squared. X times -3 makes -3x. Okay, so now that's gone and we have that. And then I bet a lot of you didn't notice that this x and this x can cancel. Why? Because that's been factored out and it's ready to cancel. And this is factored into 2 and a times and an x. That's a factored. So the x's can cancel. Gone. Boom, they're gone. And that leaves us with what on the top? This times this. And I know some of you probably distributed. You didn't need to. You could have left it factored. Because at the end, what would I say to do? I would say factor it out. And then on the bottom, you have 2 times 5, which is 10. There is your answer. You can be proud if you figured that one out. I bet it's going to be less than half the class. Any questions about that? How many of you had that one right? All right, less than half the class, kind of like I thought. All right, I'm posting the key for this in a few minutes. And then if you got any wrong, what you're supposed to do at the end is you're going to give me a score. You're going to take a picture of it. You're going to Dropbox that score. And then if you had anything wrong, you should just really look at the key to figure out what you should have done. All right, on number 5, I'm just going to go right to the factored form of the answer. You'd factor this out and you have this. And again, a few kids didn't notice that those x's then can cancel. See, I factored it and allowed me to cancel. And even better, not just these x's can cancel, but these two x plus 1s can cancel. Cancel, 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 cancel. The answer is 3. Who got that one right? Just 3. Good job. All right. And number 6. This is the last one. You should be counting up how many right you have, because however many right you had out of 6. By the way, when I put it in the grade book, just so you know, I'll probably put it in out of less than 6, meaning if you got a 5 out of 6, that's going to come out really good. Okay, so anyway, bottom line, I know this is a hard quiz for this stage in the unit. This would be like the test, but it's way early in the unit for this. All right, so on number 6, it would factor to x plus 1 and x minus 4. See that top part? It factors to that. And then instead of divide, I'm going to change it to times. And so that means the 4 goes to the top, and the x minus 4 goes on the bottom. This one turned out to be, even though it's the last problem, one of the easiest problems. As long as you factored this like that, you'd notice that'll cancel that. And this 4 and this 2 can not really cancel, but reduce. So 4 over 2 is equal to 2. The way I'd show it, you don't have to, but the way I would show it is like this. That turns into 2 times 2, and then the 2's cancel. See? Final answer, 2 x plus 1 on the top, and there's nothing left on the bottom. So then that's it. 2 times x plus 1. If you multiplied it out and said 2x plus 2, that would be okay too. I'm going to pause the video for a second. Okay, so back to, you just got a score out of 6. Just tell me the score out of 6 by putting it on your paper, taking a picture of it and Dropboxing it, and I'm going to make sure, even if it's a 4 out of 6, it'll end up coming out pretty good in the grade book, because I'm not going to take it out of 6. And if it's like a 1 out of 6, well then you got some work to do. I think I'm going to probably put it in out of 5 points, which means that like a 5 out of 6 would be like a 5 out of 5. And a 4 out of 6 would be like a 4 out of 5. It really doesn't fit. Want to see the answer? You guys seem to be discussing what the right answers were. Yeah, after you've taken the picture and Dropboxed it, you keep those. Here's the key if you want to make sure you're doing it. Okay, that's all I got for you for today. There's no new homework.